Hello, I'm Cindy Bennett, the Executive Director of STEP, the Strategic Twin Counties Educational Partnership, and this is the Chamber Buzz on Education. And I have with me today two very special guests, Catherine Wilder, who is a Program Director for the Early Childhood Education Program at Nash Community College. Welcome.
Yes.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And Brawley Rasco, who is an instructor in the Early Childhood Education Program at Nash Community College. Ladies, thank you for joining us today as we talk about early learning, preschool education, what a child needs to know prior to entering school.
We're delighted to be here. Thanks
for having us.
So glad you're here. You know, this is a very important topic. Children arrive on the kindergarten steps at school and with high expectations. Not only do they have high expectations for what school will be like for them, but as parents and guardians, grandparents, we also have high expectations for our children. So we want to talk a little bit today about what some of those expectations are and what our children need to know prior to actually going to kindergarten. There are a lot of things that we can work with them on and teach them while they're at home. So let's first talk a little bit, Catherine, if we could, about the Early Childhood Development Program at Nash Community College. Tell us a little bit about what you offer and some of the things that you do there in that program.
Okay. Our focus at Nash Community is birth through 5. Early childhood also focuses on the first 3 grades in elementary school, but our real focus is birth through 5. We're fortunate to have a child development center where our students have the opportunity to observe children and practice strategies and that they learn in class. But we help students first of all learn about child development, what to expect from children, what's typical behavior and how they need to respond to that and support their development. Development is definitely not a race, but there are many things that you can do to support development from day one. So that children are engaged in and doing the right things so that they will be prepared for success in life, not just academic success.
Sure.
That's what our program is about.
Sure. So what type of degree program or certification program does Nash Community College offer to students in child development?
We have an associate degree. Our program is accredited by NAAYC, the National Association for the Education of Young Children.
That's wonderful.
Students, as they work on their 2-year degree, can also earn certificates, which are part of the degree. They're getting the same credit, but it helps maybe an employer know some of the focus that student has had at a certain point in their program. They also can transfer. We have some transfer agreements that allow them to transfer seamlessly if they want to continue in early education and become licensed to teach in the public schools.
So with an associate degree, what are some opportunities as far as employment for someone who might have earned an associate's degree in early childhood?
Okay, certainly teaching. In the higher quality programs, the state rates programs in terms of lots of factors, but one thing is education of staff.
Right.
I would say after someone has had a few years' experience teaching, they're certainly qualified to be a director of a regulated program, as well as other private programs. So there are lots of opportunities.
Lots of opportunities, and that's so important. Brawley, now I understand you teach some courses within this program.
I do, yes.
Could you tell us a little about maybe a couple of classes that you might teach? Folks who are watching might very well be interested.
Sure.
So.
One of my first classes that I taught was the intro course, and it's a really fun class because everybody's just kind of starting out together, and you learn kind of the foundation of all the fun topics that we talk about in early childhood, with development, with history, with how to teach, with the curriculum, and you really just dive in with that first course and do a lot of interactive activities, hands-on experiences with your classmates in the class. And then I also do a bunch online, which I think is important too, for those busy parents or working full time. They can kind of take a moment out of their day to do an online course and get credit for that when it fits in their schedule. So those are nice as well for people.
You know, having Nash Community College in the area is so important for this community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the opportunity to take classes online or face-to-face, the opportunity for certifications, degree programs that could of course lead into college transfer programs, as you mentioned. But we want to talk specifically today about a course that you two ladies are working on and have developed through your work and expertise in child development and early learning in partnership with STEP, the Strategic Twin Counties Educational Partnership, with a grant with funding from United Way and some of our other partners. We have worked with Nash Community College to develop a wonderful course, and we're excited to showcase it today, tell you a little bit about it today. That will actually begin in September. It's a 3-session course, and it's really for parents, guardians, adults who have in their direct care children birth to age 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to talk a little bit about how important it is for them to be ready for school, but of course first learning at home, but being ready for school. So could you tell us a little, either Briley or Catherine, a little about this course? We're excited to be able to offer this to the community for those who register through this grant. So there's no tuition. It is a continuing ed class. So we're just so excited. But tell us a little bit about this particular class and what participants will actually be learning. Either of you.
I'm going to let Briley tell you
Okay.
most of that because she's actually the instructor,
Yes, she
which
is.
we're delighted to have her do that. But I also want to say that what she's going to be doing with families is based on the science of child development, which a lot of people don't realize that what we do in early education is research-based,
Correct.
that we don't just think we have some good ideas, that we're really working from the knowledge that we've gained. I also want to mention the North Carolina Early Learning Standards,
Yes.
North Carolina Foundations, and this is a document that is published by our state and that we, from birth to 5, work out of in terms of planning for our own students to educate teachers and families as to what's appropriate for children prior to school. Or formal schooling, that is. So we are really pleased and proud that we have this strong document behind what we're doing.
Exactly, and I think that's a very
Oh, yeah.
important statement, the fact that while you both have wonderful ideas and are very knowledgeable in child development, it's taking what you know as well as what other national researchers and state level experts know about child development.
Exactly.
And just putting all of that together. So probably talk to us a little bit about what we could expect if we enroll in this class.
Okay, so when we first sat down and started talking about this, I think our main focus was educating families and whoever is in the household that's directly responsible for a child on everyday things that you do that can be turned into educational moments and using them as those teachable moments that we talk about, and providing families with the resources and strategies they can use at home to begin essentially learning at birth, because children from the moment they are born are little sponges, and everything you do and everything that they do can be used as a learning experience. And I think giving families these tools and these strategies is going to kind of sort of bridge that gap between what's going on at home and when they get to school, and have them more prepared for when they do walk on those steps into the doors the first day. They are confident in their self and what they're about to do, and they feel comfortable with a book in front of them and reading and socializing and, their learning process.
And so based on current research, knowledge, skills, expertise that both of you have, and designing this course, it sounds like for those who are interested and choose to enroll, and we hope that you will, that they will walk away with, I'll call it a bag of tricks. Opportunities, experiences, materials, resources, strategies that they can use with these small children. So we're going to take a break now in just a moment, but when we come back, let's talk more specifically about some things that they'll do while they're enrolled in this class and some opportunities they will have to learn from others. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. We have with us today two very important people. Catherine Wilder, who is a program director for Nash Community College in the Early Childhood Education program, and Brawley Rasco, who is an instructor in the same program. We're talking today about early literacy and early learning and how important it is for us to work with young children, from the day we bring them home from the hospital, to really instruct them, to help them develop and to frame their minds so that when they are ready and at the age of entering kindergarten, they can walk into that door, as Brawley said a few minutes ago, with confidence that they know what they should know, that they're prepared conceptually, that physically their development levels are where they should be, cognitively they are where they should be. And so we want to talk a little bit more about a course that Nash Community College has developed and is partnering with STEP, the Strategic Twin Counties Educational Partnership, to offer to you. And we hope that you will have the opportunity to participate in this course. It's offered to you at no charge. It's a continuing ed class. And so we will begin our enrollment in the next few days. So we hope that, and we'll give you that information, we hope that you'll join us and we hope to see you in the class. Brawley, more specifically, so I enroll in the class, have a child anywhere from birth to age 5. So tell me some things that I might learn, some things that I might be working on, and hands-on activities that I might be involved with during that 3-session course with you ladies at Nash Community College.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, we are planning to have families leave with what you call a bag of tricks. And I think that is, when planning this course, what I've focused most on is I'm going to work with families and teach them how to use these bags of tricks, how to use the books that we give them, how to use the finger puppets with their children, go through different stories with them, model, this is what you can do at home. It takes 10 minutes out of your day, and it's a great learning tool for the children. It's fun, it's interactive, and so I'm going to give them these materials, but also teach them how to use them when they leave and model for them instructional strategies they can use with their children, and give them little tips of everyday things that the parents are probably already doing, but just kind of how to capitalize on those and make it more of a teachable moment.
That sounds great. So just as an example, I have a young child in my home. I read to the child every day. But how could I enhance that reading time with that child, Brawley? What are some things that I could do holding that book as I get ready to read to the child? Give me an example of some things I could be doing with that child to really enhance that reading opportunity.
Well, I think it's so important to take a book, and the main purpose is to get the story across. But when you're working with your child or a child that you may know, it's important to get their thinking process out. And what do they see in this book? And one of my most favorite things to do is just look at the cover with a child and say, what do you think this book is going to be about? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's an open-ended question where you begin to see their thinking process. I may look at the cover of a book and see a boy and a girl.
Right.
They may look at the cover of a book and see their 2 best friends who were on the playground yesterday and tell you a whole story about what happened on the playground. And I think it's just such a great opportunity to ask questions. What do you see? What do you think it's going to be about? And just get inside of their thinking process, ask those questions to them to pull out more than just the words in the book.
Right. And you're exactly right. Oftentimes as parents, as adults, we do read to our children. We know how important that is. But understanding how to enhance that time, that one-on-one time we have with that child is so important. Catherine, Brawley has shared some things that she might do with that book. Were there other thoughts that might have come to your mind, or in the classes that you teach there at the community college, what are some things you teach adults who are considering going into education? How do you teach them, what do you teach them about early literacy and the print awareness? of a text?
Well, one thing we teach immediately is that children are active learners.
Right.
And they need to be engaged. And we often, as adults, are so eager to help and make sure we do the right thing that we often do to the child instead of with the child.
Explain that a little more specifically. Do to the child instead of with the child.
For instance, what I was thinking as Briley was talking about the book, you know, we think, oh, it's so important to read. Let me sit down and read this book to you. But we need to stop and, as she said, ask the children, what do you think this is going to be about? Or as we read the book, what do you think might happen next? Or to help parents to choose books that engage even the smallest children, like repeating lines, that you know it's coming, you need to pause, they need to give them an opportunity to say it. So I would say overall, just making sure that you give the child a chance, because they will often surprise you with their ideas, and you can learn what their thinking is and how to support that further. So using puppets, using books with repeating lines, just making sure that they get to be a part of it, and the focus should really be on them. They have to be active to learn. So that's what we're all about.
Right. And you both have made some very valid points, and I think oftentimes we do read to the child and expect them to sit quietly and pay attention to what we're reading instead of giving them an opportunity to look at the pictures, to tell us what they think might be happening, to repeat those lines that are repeated throughout that story. Once they can recognize it and they're aware of the patterns in the reading, then allow them to participate. And I think all of those things are very important. Riley, what are some other things that we might have an opportunity to learn and to work with in this class?
Well, I've thought about the materials a lot and what they're going to be, these families will be taking home. And I've tried, when planning these activities, to use things that they may even already have around the home. So
That's great.
An index card or a popsicle stick, and we're going to work on taking those everyday materials and making these tools out of them so that parents don't have to go to the store and spend a whole paycheck on buying the newest, greatest, shiniest book or newest, greatest flashcards. You can make your own things at home, and I'm trying to, let them see that it's all around us. Learning is all around you, and all you have to do is kind of pull it out and get creative with it, and it's fun.
Yes, you're exactly right. And children, in order for them to be actively engaged and involved, the hands-on component I think is so important. Whether it's just the book that they're able to touch and to turn the pages and even begin to learn where the front of the book, the cover of the book is, and where the spine of the book is. All of those things that are so important that sometimes as adults we forget that we had to learn one day as well. So I think those things are important. So, the course itself, wonderful opportunity for us to really think about and reflect on that basic development of a child when it comes to a book and learning and visually, what's visually appealing to the child, and giving them an opportunity to know that we read from left to right, touching those words. All of those things that you've incorporated in this course I think will be very important. And even if it's, we're a grandparent and we have grandchildren that we're working with, it's another wonderful opportunity for us to be reminded of things we need to be doing with small children. Let me just ask you, put you on the spot for just a second. Let's say that I'm a parent, very busy parent, and I pick my kids up from daycare or from a provider who's watching them while I'm working, and I have them in the vehicle behind me and I'm driving home from work. I could use that time in a very valuable way. What are some opportunities for learning that I could take advantage of just with my kids are riding with me in the car? Any ideas or suggestions?
Talk to them.
Talk to them. What do you mean by that? I do talk to them. What are some opportunities? Be specific. Catherine, help us.
If you say, what did you do today? They either say nothing or I played.
Yeah.
So tell me what you did, maybe when.
Right.
Ask open-ended questions. There's environmental print everywhere.
What's
In the
environmental
car, out of
print?
the car.
Define environmental print for us,
There's
please.
signs that you go by.
Right.
There's letters and numbers on the dashboard. I mean, there are just so many things handy that
Right.
parents can make use of. And I think that's one thing we want parents to see, I think they get a lot of misinformation about how to prepare children for school, when really learning, kids are ready all the time. So let's take advantage of every moment for language development, which leads to literacy development.
Right. So
those types of
important.
things.
Good suggestions. Briley, what about you? I know you have a son who's almost 1. So what are some things you're doing with your 1-year-old?
I was just thinking of that when she was talking. I think going back to what Catherine was saying about having those hands-on activities, it's sitting in a car seat, you can give them a whiteboard with a marker. You could give them a cookie sheet with some magnetic letters and say, find the A, find the C. I mean, there's things you can give them in the car seat that they can do, and you don't have to necessarily turn around and be looking at them. You can still be driving home from work, but having some fun, hands-on, non-messy things in your car that they look forward to getting in the car because you've planned something for them. They know that you are going to have that surprise little basket in their car seat, and they're going to be excited about being in the car because it's going to be a learning opportunity for them. So just being creative and finding little things they can do in the car with the letters or writing or, you know.
Right. And you know, all of the ideas and suggestions that you ladies have shared are using materials and resources that we probably already have at home, as you mentioned.
Exactly.
And I think that's the important thing. It's not about going out, necessarily having to go out and purchase materials and supplies. It's what do we have on hand. Technology is wonderful, and oftentimes kids have access to an iPad or a tablet of some sort or a computer at home. And while those things are wonderful, sometimes I think it's great just to go very, very basic. The cookie sheet, the magnetic letters, the popsicle stick, the index cards, just having a book that they can hold, that they can touch, that they can turn the pages, and if they happen to tear it just a little, it's okay. It's all right. But I think giving them an opportunity to touch and to have access to resources is important. And Catherine, another thing that you mentioned I think is very important, open-ended questions. Now, just to make sure we understand what is an open-ended question and what is not an open-ended question, Catherine?
Well, what is not is a question that has either a yes/no answer or typically a one-word right answer.
Right.
So to say how many are those, what a boring question. There are 2. You know, ways to start open-ended questions or statements. Tell me. Tell me what you did when. And just leave it to the child because, again, they're really the active one, and that will open just the windows into their mind to let you know what they're thinking, what their stage of development is, what they're learning, and help you respond and support that more. So tell me about, how did you, instead of those one-word answers to ask for.
Those yes/no type questions.
Yes.
Well, ladies, thank you both so much for being with us today. We are so excited about the course, Ready for School, Learning First at Home, offered through Nash Community College. If you're interested in the course, please feel free to contact the Child Development Center at Nash Community College or me at stepnc@centurylink.net, and we'll share this information with you for registration. Our first session will actually be in mid-September. It's a 3-session course, 3 hours each night. We'll provide a light meal for you and some resources. And again, we are pleased to offer this course to you, this continuing ed course, at no cost through a grant with United Way, another one of our community partners. Ladies, thank you again for being with us today, and thank you. We hope you've learned something today.